listening to Package Your Genius, a conversation designed to give you clarity on your calling and serve as a catalyst for your career. I'm your host, Amanda Miller Littlejohn. I tried to record this particular episode yesterday, but I'm going to be honest with you, I was not ready yet. Yesterday, I had one of those days that literally we can just throw it away. It was awful. And even just saying it's awful, now that I have this new perspective with which to share a message here on the podcast, like it wasn't the worst day of my life or the worst thing that could have happened, but it was one of those days where it just seemed like thing after thing kept happening, and I just got frustrated and overwhelmed. So started out, I've been having like this resurgence of my breathing asthma issues again, and I was like, okay, I'm about to do some travel, I need to get this checked out and see what's up, just to make sure everything's all right. So I went to urgent care and basically got diagnosed again with bronchitis and got, basically the same medicine that I've been taking, but just told to take it easy and see an allergist. And I'm going to do that. But the thing that drove me to urgent care was because I wasn't feeling great. And so going to urgent care and sitting and waiting for a couple of hours just to be told this, and, dragging yourself around town trying to get your errands run before you go out of town. It's just like, I'm not feeling it, right? So then while I'm out at urgent care, I realized that my water bottle had been in my bag and it had completely leaked all over all of my stuff. And my papers, my journal, and my computer were wet. So I'm freaking out. Like, the computer was on, so I honestly thought it was okay. And I was like, okay, well, the computer's on and it still looks normal. It's fine. Let me charge it, because the battery level was getting low. And I was like, let me charge it. Didn't realize that the charger wasn't charging the computer. So the whole time I'm in the urgent care office, waiting for the doctor, thinking the computer's charging, it's not. So then later the computer dies and I couldn't get it to come, I couldn't get the cord to charge it so I could turn it back on. So I'm like, oh, well, maybe the cord is broken. So I go to the Apple store, do that whole thing, come back, try again, nothing. So I'm like, well, let me make an appointment for tomorrow. Ended up, long story short, because the story's getting on my nerves and I lived it. But long story short, took the computer in and they're like, looks like there's some water damage. We've got to send it off and that'll be a few days. And they may find something, they may not, but basically you're going to end up spending $800 just for them to open it up and see. Now, I cannot make it 24 hours, let alone 3 or 4 days without my computer. And so I was really frustrated because I did have a number of files on that computer that are pretty important, just some presentation decks and some creative stuff that I created that I don't have saved somewhere else. And so, these are things that I basically teach from and create programming off of. So definitely didn't want to have to recreate them. Obviously I can recreate them, but I'm like, why do that if I don't have to? And so it wasn't like a ton of things, and most of the decks that I had in mind, actually, I was able to find like in my email where I had sent it off or send it to someone. So, but it was just frustrating, right? Like thinking of, okay, can I move forward with a new computer? Did I lose a ton of stuff? Oh, that's right, I don't feel great because I've got bronchitis. Let me go get this prescription filled. And I just hit a wall. I'm going to be honest, I was not my best at the Apple store. I was not very kind to the salesperson, who kept trying to comfort me because, I was having to basically buy a new computer. And, she's like, well, I don't want to assume I know how you feel. And I'm like, let's not even have this conversation. Like, I'm just really upset. My husband got me this computer for Mother's Day. They don't even make this one anymore. The rose gold. That's like this shade of rose gold, not the new shade. Like, I was just really totally first world problems for sure. And so I leave and I just I'm crying in the car. I'm like snotting because I don't feel good. I had to get a new computer, but I don't even want this new computer because it's not like my old computer. And it was just like one of those moments where, I wish I could get a do-over for the last 48 hours. And then I left. I had a call with a friend of mine who I'm actually traveling to Italy with in less than 2 weeks. And so we're like, okay, we got to get it together. We got to plan our itinerary for this trip, and getting excited, booking our hotel and all of that. And we're laughing about the fact that, 10 years ago, we would have loved to have had opportunities to plan trips like this, and we would have spent all this time researching where we'd go and what all we would do and all the details of the trip. And now it's like we have the resources to do things, but we just don't have the time. So we laughed about that. Just another thought, are you making time to use your resources? That's a sidebar. You just put a pin in that for yourself, because I clearly am not, as I learned today. But anyway, I'm talking to her about booking this trip and, just figuring out where all we're stopping and what all we're planning to do, keeping it light and easy because it is to some degree a vacation, but also, a fun trip. So just kind of planning that and getting excited about that in the wake of this whole fiasco with my computer and the bronchitis resurgence once again. And then I just was thinking okay, things could be way worse. I could be out of a computer and out of a brain that can recreate the things that were on the computer. I'm planning this trip to Italy. Life could be way worse, right? And then I had another phone call with a friend who basically told me that she is plotting her getaway to escape her husband, who has been really mean to her. And that really upset me, just hearing about what she's going through. And it just completely helped me put things back into perspective. Yes, crappy that my computer may be gone forever. Crappy that I can't seem to completely clear this lung issue. But I'm here. I still have my family. I still have my great boys and husband who were supportive and trying to help me see the bright side of this whole computer situation. And I still have a mind, right? Everything that I may have lost on that computer, everything I may have lost are all things that I created. So I can create them again. The information didn't go anywhere. The inspiration didn't go anywhere. It's a pain for sure, but it is not the end of the world. And, just to kind of put your mind at ease, assuming you're freaking out about this on my behalf, I do have a ton of things saved in the cloud, but there are just a few things that I may have created on that machine that I just kind of saved to my files or to the desktop or to a certain folder. And it's not the overwhelming majority of my files, but there are a few key things that I wish I had put in the cloud. And please believe, moving forward, everything will be in the cloud. So anywho, getting back to the message that I was sharing, it was just keeping things in perspective. Yesterday, I really wanted to record an episode and say that. I did. I really, really did. But it just wasn't there. I wasn't there. And I'm going to be honest with you. I almost said, forget the challenge. It doesn't matter. They'll understand. This was one of those days or weekends that I just could have done without. But I was like, you know what? I'm not going to lose my computer and, fail on this challenge that I created for myself too. Like, I refuse. Like, no more bad things are coming out of this. But then today, again, just having these conversations and just really thinking about, in the grand scheme of things, I am sure this will inconvenience me more and more times beyond today. Like when I realize, oh, there's some file that I thought I had, but I don't because it was exclusively on that machine. I'll have to figure out how to get it or see who else has a copy of it or whatever. But ultimately, it is a small thing. It did not feel like I'm going to be honest with you. It still doesn't feel like a tiny thing. It's like a medium thing right now, but I just wanted to get on here and share the real honest truth with you about where I am. And I'm trying to keep things in perspective and, focus on gratitude and, see like things could be way worse. And I think that's my message for you overall. Just not to say that like, when bad things happen to you or inconvenient things happen to you, to go and try to find someone who is worse off than you or has something worse happening. But even when you reflect on your worst days, right? Like the day I found out my dad had passed away, right? Like the day I found out that my husband's dad passed away. It's like, these are life-changing, never go back again moments that happen to us. And in the grand scheme of things, having to get a new computer and maybe having to recreate a few files is not the end of the world, even though it feels like the beginning of the end, or like I'm crawling out from the end. But again, it's still not the end. So if you face some challenges, I mean, maybe you're facing something really big right now. Maybe it's a health issue. Maybe it is a relationship issue like my friends. Maybe it's a money issue. As long as you're here, as long as you still have yourself and you still have the will to go on, even with the relationship issues. As I was telling my friend, you're a beautiful, intelligent, charismatic, bright person. Like even though it feels awful and terrible to have to start again, you still have you and you can do it, and that's not even the end of the world, right? And so I think when I step back and I say, well, that's a situation that I'm fortunately not facing today, but even if I were facing it, it's not the end of the world. And so keep things in perspective. As long as you still have yourself, as long as you still have your health, your relative health, at least on my end, I'm gonna claim relative health. And as long as you still have your ideas in the brain and the mind and the heart and the soul that you use to create a difference and an impact in the world, you can start again. You can start a new movement. You can move to a new place. You can buy a new computer. Like, we can all start again. So I'm gonna leave that with you. Send me good vibes, please. It's gonna be an interesting next few days, just getting accustomed to